Hello and welcome to NewsHour from the BBC World Service. We're coming to you live from London. I'm James Menendez. And we start today in France with the political fallout from Saturday's clashes in Paris and other towns and cities around France. It's not the first weekend there have been demonstrations, nominally about the government's plans to increase taxes on diesel. But these were the most violent so far. It seems groups from the far right and far left hijacked the main protest. Cars and buildings were set on fire. The Arc de Triomphe was damaged. One person is reported to have been killed and more than 100 were injured, including a couple of dozen police officers. According to the authorities, nearly 400 have been arrested. And today, the Justice Minister, Nicole Belloubet, said the government would use the full force of the law to go after the protesters behind the violence.
Clearly, we can't accept the violence that took place yesterday. So we must bring an extremely firm judicial response to bear. When there's not only desecration, which is absolutely unacceptable in our republic, when there's arson, not just cars, 55 vehicles were set alight, but also buildings set on fire, when there are attacks on people, including, I believe, a rape, these are things that cannot be accepted in our republic.
She said those arrested would be fast-tracked to court for offences including a possible rape. As you heard there, around 30 of them are minors. But some have been critical of the response, the political response and the way the police handled the disturbances. I've been talking to the Conservative mayor of Paris's 17th arrondissement or district, which spreads north from the Arc de Triomphe. He's Geoffroy Boulard, a member of the Conservative Republicans Party.
I think the main problem is the strategy of the policy to maintain a protest in the Champs-Élysées. I think the filters of policy weren't operational. I asked the security ministry to tell us why they choose this strategy, because our area near from the Arc de Triomphe weren't covered by policy. It's not sufficient. I'm very angry about the government.
So what exactly do you think they did wrong? Are you saying that there weren't enough police on the streets, or they were directing the protests in the wrong direction?
Too many policemen in front of the protest and not enough in our roads, in our suburbs. We needed more policy. It was not balanced in the area near from Arc de Triomphe neighborhood.
So what, the protesters, they weren't contained, is that what you're saying? And they were able to move out into other areas?
Yeah, a lot of small a group of activists commit a lot of violence towards restaurants, shopping mall and cars.
I suppose the trouble is, if you have small groups of people who are determined to cause damage, it's quite difficult for the police to stop them, ultimately. They can't be everywhere, can they?
I think it's difficult, but we need to try to prevent from this new form of violence, of protest. And I think the French policy get the power to limit, to arrest these violent people.
How worried are you that we may see a repeat of this next weekend?
I'm very worried about next weekend. And I hope that President Macron will take some important national measure to calm the French population. A lot of French are very angry because too many tax for them.
Well, so do you think he needs to withdraw his plans for an increase in diesel tax?
I think the first measure to take is to stop tax on fuel for cars, because a lot of French need their car to work.
And in terms of preventing a repeat, I mean, are you going to be talking to the government? As I mean, you know, you're a mayor whose district has been directly affected. Will you be talking to the government about this?
Yes, I'm okay to discuss with the government, and I can say to BBC that I will be received on tomorrow at 3 p.m. by the Ministry of Policy with my colleague mayors of districts of Paris victims of violence yesterday.
Geoffroy Boulard, the mayor of Paris's 17th arrondissement.